Welcome back to In the Know. Tonight's topic is all about separation and divorce and what you need to know if you're going through this process. Now, I know we have a few callers on the line. Let's get straight to it. Donna, are you there? Donna from Thornhill. Do you have a question? Hi.
Hi.
What's your question for Andrew?
My question is, upon separation, how does the equalization of assets come about? Why I'm asking that question is all through the marriage of over 30 years, my husband was an accountant and he hid everything. I never even knew what his income was. I had money given to me through inheritances from, 20 years ago, and also gifts from very generous parents. How do I go about and show that as it was always in my own name and my own account?
Well, I'm going to start with pointing you to my website at separation.ca because we give a very detailed account of how equalization works. But in terms of your specific question of how do I prove my inheritance, well, quite frankly, the onus, meaning you have to prove that you received the inheritance or that you received the large gift, and not just prove it. You have to show the money coming into your account during the marriage and then successfully trace what you did with that money all the way through to the date of separation. And if you put it into your matrimonial home, you have to share it with your spouse. If you've spent it, you've lost it. So the tracing can be a very, very difficult and onerous task, and you may even need to hire an expert to assist you in that.
Thanks so much for your call, Donna. So I think we have a few more calls. We'll take that afterwards. Andrew, let's get straight into, I guess, some myths about divorce. I know you have some questions prepared for me here, so let's see how well I do on these, I guess, typical questions, comments, myths that people have, right?
Well, that's exactly what they are. And to get into it, the first question is, if you can prove that your spouse was unfaithful, you get more money in spousal and child support payments.
I would say that's true. I would say that's true.
That's false.
Oh, okay.
It's completely irrelevant. The court doesn't care what you're doing in your personal life. We're in a country of no-fault divorce.
Oh, see, I just always thought, the severity of being unfaithful, somebody cheating in the relationship, that should be taken into account, right, in sort of the process?
It's not, and the policy reason for that is if you started to get into trying to prove somebody was unfaithful or why they were unfaithful, people would even spend more money on lawyers trying to establish, oh, they cheated, no, they cheated. So the idea is, typically, the reason for separation is you've been living separate and apart for a year.
Okay. So what's your, I guess, advice or recommendation for couples who are dealing with cheating and unfaithfulness?
It really doesn't matter unless, and these are a couple of exceptions. Number one, somebody spent a lot of money on their mistress, as an example.
Okay.
Then you may say, well, that's what we would call an improvident depletion of assets. So if I decided to spend $50,000 on a diamond for my mistress, well, I'm going to have a problem. The other place it runs into is over custody of the children. Because if I'm never home because I'm always out with my new person, well, I'm going to have a problem saying that I'm the primary caregiver because I'm too busy with this other person.
So it branches. There are different issues that branches off from unfaithfulness. Okay, interesting. Do you have another myth for me?
Sure. To get evidence of this and help the court out, you can hack into your spouse's email and snoop around.
Oh, okay. I've heard of these scenarios before. I don't think it's right that, I don't think it's allowed to hack into your spouse's personal information.
You're right.
Okay.
Number one, there's a problem with even using that evidence in court. But even more interesting than that is the Court of Appeal in Ontario last year created a new lawsuit called the tort of invasion of privacy, where if someone does that type of snooping, they can sue you for it.
Okay. Email accounts specifically, or any type of files or papers or...
Well, it's really dealing with electronic data so far, but there's the possibility you could deal with other documentation. Some of us believe part of it is, what's your expectation of privacy? If I go put my tax return in a filing cabinet next to my wife's tax return, what's my expectation of privacy for that document versus me putting it into a password-protected file on my computer that my wife doesn't know the password for?
Interesting. Okay. Anything else?
Yes. If you and your spouse are not married, but you have children together, you won't have to pay child support.
Okay, this is a tricky one. I would say true.
You have to pay child support.
Even if you're not married?
Doesn't matter. You have a child, you pay child support. Even if you never see the child, you will pay child support.
Okay. I mean, we'll go into more detail about child support, but having children together, does it make the situation more complicated when it comes to separation and divorce, bottom line?
It frequently can, because you're fighting about how often you get to see the child, what you get to do with the child. And also there can be a fight about what programs to enroll the children in. Should the child go to private school, which will cost $25,000 a year?
Okay, we have a couple more minutes left in the segment. Andrew, do you want to give me one more here?
Sure. If your former spouse is not paying child support, can you withhold access to the children?
I would say yes.
Absolutely not.
Oh.
Money and
Wow.
time with the children are completely different, and they have nothing to do with one another. So if somebody isn't paying child support, you can't withhold access. That's the right of the child.
See, I mean, it's so interesting that you're bringing up these common myths, because I would think that support, that financial support is needed for the child. The husband or mother doesn't provide it, can't see the children. But that's not how it plays out in court.
Absolutely not, because it's not in the best interest of the child to not see their parent. In fact, you shouldn't even be speaking to the child about the dispute and if one person isn't paying the support.
So when it comes to child support, do you advise couples to be coming to you with a plan when it comes to the children?
Well, for child support, if there is a primary caregiver, meaning somebody has the children more than 60% of the time, and you know the person who's the access parent's income, child support's very easy. You look at the child support guidelines, you look at their income, and it tells you what they have to pay based on the number of children. And there's no discretion for that. The only discretion becomes for the programs and activities. Like I said, private school, $25,000 a year, that's one that there can be a big fight about.
Okay, and that's why, like you said off the top of the show, financial disclosure is really, really important.
Yes, it is.
Okay, when we come back from break, more on separation and divorce. Stay tuned.